Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another week and another edition of the Israel Brief with me, Rolene Marks, where we take a look at those top stories making headlines in Israel, and we do it every Monday to Thursday. Now, just a reminder, guys, that if you have a question, please be in touch with us either via our website or via our social media, and I will try and answer your question as best as possible. And a reminder that every Thursday we take a look at your mensch, your great person, and your moron of the week. And I love you guys to send me your nominations. So today is day 668 since the 7th of October. And a reminder to you all that we still have 50 hostages. 20, we believe, are still alive. Hostages is going to be our main topic of discussion on today's Israel Brief. But guys, from what we've seen this weekend, they have days, if that. We need your help. We need your help because the world has been silent. The media has been silent. This is why you come to the Israel Brief, because you get news here that you will not see in other places around the world. So let's get into it, and we start with the video footage that shattered us in Israel over the weekend. Hamas released video footage of hostage Evatar David. Evatar was taken from the Nova Festival on the 7th of October. What compounds this trauma is that during the hostage release, I don't even know if you can call them ceremonies, that were held in January, Evatar and Guy Gilboa Dalal were forced to watch the other hostages being released while they were taken back to the tunnels, and their reaction was filmed by Hamas for the world to see. Palestinian Islamic Jihad, who are holding Ram Braslavsky, they released footage of him. Now, the images of Evatar and a snippet of that horrific Hamas video are up on the Lay of the Land Facebook site to see. They are profoundly traumatizing. And just on a personal note, every Friday night when I light my Shabbat candles, I bless the soldiers of the IDF, and I also sing the prayer for the hostages, and I couldn't finish it. The trauma of seeing the conditions that our beloved hostages, our sons, our brothers, our souls of Israel are being held in is beyond anything that we can imagine. The first video we saw was of Evatar. Evatar looks like a Holocaust Auschwitz inmate. He is thin to the point of his skin is stretched over his bones. In the tunnel he was kept, he was dressed only in a ragged pair of cut-off tracksuit pants. And he sits with every bone protruding, in his hollow eyes, scratching out on the wall when last he was fed. In a blink and you'll miss it moment, you see the fat, beefy, overfed hand of a Hamas terrorist handing him a can of something. We don't know if he gets to keep the can or if it's just taunting him. In the video, Evatar, who can barely speak, he speaks in a whisper, is forced to dig his own grave. He says, "This is the grave where I believe I will die in." Evatar has been held now for 668 days. I cannot imagine the trauma of his family seeing that. Palestinian Islamic Jihad, who said last week that they had lost contact with their hostage, Ram Braslavsky, released a video. They said this was filmed before they lost contact. He is clearly broken. He is crying. He is also skeletal, the skin stretched over his bones. He says, I am at death's door. He says, I cannot stand and I cannot walk. Hamas taunted the viewers. It's amazing how they seem to have all this technology saying they eat when we eat, and we know it's a lie. We know it's a lie because former hostage Tal Shoham, who was held with Evatar, said there is a screen behind where they keep the hostages, a door, and behind that door it's full of food, which I'm sure is aid that was sent in for civilians in Gaza that has been looted and hijacked by Hamas. Hamas, who are pushing this macabre propaganda that the world is eating up, that Israel is deliberately starving hostages. You guys have been with me since day one. You guys have been with me since the 7th of October when we have spoken at length about aid. You know that that aid is going in. But what we need is for you to share this information with others. We also saw footage released last week of Hamas terrorists sitting in the tunnels eating platefuls and platefuls of meat and rice and vegetables and sweet fruits, exotic fruits. And the hostages get nothing. They are starved to within an inch of their life. It is a stain on humanity that the majority of news outlets either failed to even mention this or show the pictures or show the footage. And here I need to single out the New York Post for their moral clarity and for being a beacon of humanity in making Evatar the front page of their newspaper yesterday. The New York Times, who broke the story about the emaciated children in Gaza when they turned out to be children with congenital diseases, could barely mention our hostages. It is despicable, a stain on humanity and a stain on the profession of journalism, of which I am a journalist. Evatar's family said that this is a live hunger experiment. Hamas are starving our hostages in real time for the world to see. European leaders have condemned it, some even calling on Hamas to disarm, saying they cannot play a part in the future of the Palestinians. The United States has condemned, and there has been some reports, I don't know the veracity, that President Trump cried seeing the footage. I know he's seen the footage. I don't know what his reaction was. President Herzog, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar appealed to the global community, to the global media, to show, to tell the stories of our hostages, to show this. Because the world has swallowed the Hamas propaganda with the allegations of starvation of the civilians of Gaza. I urge you all to please visit the Lay of the Land site. You can find it on Facebook at LOTLSITE, and look at that footage, look at that image, and most important, share it with as many people as possible. Countries like Estonia said there is no way they will recognize a state of Palestine. People who do this do not deserve a state. Meanwhile, on that subject, a senior Hamas official, Ghazi Hamad, has welcomed the initiative of several countries to recognize a Palestinian state. He went to call it some of the fruits of the 7th of October. He said that Hamas has reached victory sooner than they expected. So there we go. If Hamas are thanking you, Prime Minister Starmer, Carney, and President Macron, you are on the wrong side of history. You have just said that terror is a legitimate means to getting your way. That you can murder, you can rape, you can burn whole families, you can mutilate and you can kidnap, and you will get your way. Congratulations, Mazal Tov. Thank you for that. Meanwhile, a lawyer for British hostages and their families appealed to Prime Minister Starmer to make recognition conditional on the release of all of the hostages without exception. Starmer's response was the recognition of a Palestinian state will be unconditional, regardless of the hostages and regardless of Hamas. Winston Churchill must be spinning in his grave. In fact, I think it was Churchill who said something about the crocodile, hoping to appease it, will be eaten last. Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke at length last night with the head of the Red Cross representatives here in Israel, appealing for their immediate intervention in getting food and medical aid to the hostages. Now, the Red Cross, since the 7th of October, despite the many appeals by President Herzog, Prime Minister Netanyahu, have said that they have no contact with Hamas. They cannot get that aid in, that they are a neutral body. And we saw them acting as glorified taxi services when the hostages were released and document signers. Well, yesterday they released a statement saying that they were appalled at the vile condition that the hostages were held in by Hamas. Hamas have allegedly agreed to allow them contact with the hostages on condition that Israel sets up a humanitarian corridor. Guys, how long have we been speaking about the humanitarian corridors that are in place in the Gaza Strip for civilians to get to aid distribution sites and receive their aid? That is already in process. And finally, Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar will fly to New York tonight, where he will attend a special session of the UN Security Council that has been requested by Israel on the subject of the hostages. Meanwhile, a Palestinian was killed earlier today by one of the pallets of aid that was airdropped into the Gaza Strip. There have been at least 500 pallets of food airdropped into the Gaza Strip by a variety of countries, and last week saw 23,000 tons of humanitarian aid, including fuel, into the Gaza Strip. So you tell me. I'm not going to deny for a second that there are some civilians in Gaza who are extremely, extremely hungry and in dire straits, because as all things controlled by Hamas, who gets humanitarian aid first and who gets it last? And as for the accusation that our soldiers randomly shoot people in line for aid, that is an outright lie that has been confirmed by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. I keep wanting to call them Global Humanitarian Foundation, who've said that the IDF is nowhere near the aid distribution sites, and if anyone has been killed, it is due to Hamas firing at them, including 12 GHF aid workers, and is also due to stampedes. So there are the facts. There are the facts. Please make sure you share them with as many people as possible. And now for our audience question, and it comes from Nicole in Johannesburg. Rolene, do you think now that people have seen how Hamas treats the hostages, that this will be a turn in the narrative for Israel? Well, I think that's a brilliant question, Nicole. I think that is a brilliant, brilliant question. I think many people have been absolutely appalled by what they see. You have some absolute and utter morons who say, well, that's Israel starving the hostages and the people of Gaza. Grow up, grow a brain. Go read something, touch grass. I don't know, switch it on. Ask for a refund on the lobotomy, because clearly you need help. You people need help. I don't know if it's changed world opinion. I think when it comes to Israel, too many are infested with Israelophobia. But it's certain, and by the way, we haven't heard from any human rights organizations, but I think it has appalled a lot of world leaders. The thing is now, with so many of them rushing to recognize a Palestinian state, will they make it conditional on anything? It remains to be seen. However, I ask you all to challenge your media who has not shown you these images, because from us we ask you to bear witness and demand fair and accurate reporting. So guys, that's it from me for today. Don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our YouTube channel, as always, is right here at the Israel Brief. Guys, please hit that red subscribe button. Let's grow our community. We are on Facebook or Meta at Lottel's site, on Instagram at Rolene_Marks, on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, and on X at Lay of the Land 5. Guys, God bless you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will check in again with you tomorrow. Bye for now.